So I swore a year ago that I was never going to do another Arteza Art Supply Advent Calendar. And yet, here we are. That statement wasn't made unfairly. I reviewed 3 Arteza Art Supply Advent Calendars, and while I felt like the first one was pretty good, I felt like the next year they were just repeating the first year, and I felt like they weren't really utilizing the influencers that they were working with to actually design fun Advent Calendar projects. Especially with the 24-day calendars in the second year that I did it, it was just like art supplies with no prompts, no instruction, nothing like that. And I know some of you guys really like when they give you art challenges and art projects that you can do every day as part of the Advent Calendar. It can be fun for a single person, it can be fun for a couple, it can be fun for a parent and child or a grandparent and child to do together, and it can make the experience feel larger than the sum of its parts. This year at NAMTO, way back in March, I actually talked to the Arteza rep. I did not get that interview on camera, and I wish I had. And I talked to him about the Advent Calendar. He asked for feedback, and I told him exactly what I thought, that I thought the calendars were fairly repetitive. Once you bought one, you didn't need to buy another, and that they weren't working closely enough with their influencers. I wanted to see more of that influencer's voice and more of that influencer's art throughout the whole thing. And he assured me that this year, 2024, would be different, that they were making some changes and they were gonna work more closely with their artists. So I decided to bite the bullet and buy one of them. There were several different designs. I will show them up here on the screen. I ordered this a while back, and I have a rule in my house that I don't do Christmas until after Thanksgiving. Today is Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So here we are, unboxing this 24-day fine art Advent Calendar. This is the collaboration with Ryan Murray, who I'm not familiar with, but hopefully through the course of this, we will become familiar with him. And this may even become an easily influenced, although because I'm not familiar with his art, I was not influenced by his art. I was more influenced by Arteza's promises that this year would be different. This is a 24-day calendar. It's actually really heavy, and they promise a project-based experience filled with 24 days of creative supplies and inspiration, a blend of fine art and illustration. And what I liked is that he has really, really cartoony art around the box. My background is in comics and sequential art. I have an MFA from SCAD in comics. That's most of what I do here on the channel, is comics meets watercolor. So I was like, okay, I might be their prime audience for this. The only difference is I review art supplies as part of my living, not my entire living, not by a long shot. Teaching is most of my living. And so sometimes I can be a little bit picky. Sometimes I can be a little bit harsh and judgmental, but hopefully that'll be beneficial for you guys today if you decide whether or not you want to try Arteza Art Supply Advent Calendars, or if you're going to skip them. Now, when I first found out about the Arteza Art Supply Calendar a couple of years ago, and I'll bring that up here, there weren't a lot of art supply advent calendars on the market. I was watching a lot of Alexandria Ryan. I really like her advent calendar videos, and I thought it'd be really fun to bring my art supply expertise here and do one with you guys, right, as part of the Christmas season, the holiday season. And the first one went all right, so I decided to do it again the next year and do it twice as big, doing both their 12-day and their 24-day calendar. And I was a little bit disappointed by how many repetitive products were in there, how there wasn't like a project to go with each day, or a theme to go with each day, or a challenge to go with each day the way there was the first year. It felt like a lot of the ideas were used. In fact, if you're curious, just watch those videos. I'll link them for you guys. I'll put them here so you know what you're looking for. And I wasn't going to come back. Now, that doesn't mean I wasn't interested in art supply advent calendars. I actually reviewed 2 last year, the Let's Make Art Supply calendar and the Alkali Creek watercolor calendar. And you guys can check those both out here. And that was fun, and I enjoyed it. I liked one a lot better than the other, but I do kind of enjoy getting to share these holiday art supply things with you guys. reviewing art kits and talking about gift guides and creating gift lists to help people shop for artists, whether they're young artists or older artists, is something that I really enjoy doing. And it's something that I can kind of help you guys out with when you guys have questions. So I have also reviewed a bunch of art kits over the years. I promise you, there is nothing new under this old sun. They have not released anything drastically different from when I was a kid. I will link those guys if you guys are curious about those videos and about those art kits. I'll link them for you guys. I've also reviewed art supplies from all over the place, whether it's all over the world with trips to Japan and ordering through AliExpress, or all price ranges from Dollar Tree all the way up to professional grade art supplies. So I try to be pretty educated about what art supplies are a good fit for what age group. I also teach. I teach youngins, I teach tweens, I teach teenagers, and I also teach adults. So I think I have a pretty good idea of what is a good fit for what age range. And I really hope that my advice and my suggestions can help you guys either buy for yourself, request art supplies that you know you're gonna love so they won't turn into a waste of money, and also so you can give art supplies with confidence, because I really wanna help you guys give the gift of art. That's my big ulterior motive here, is I want everyone to become an artist and appreciate art and buy art. And I think the best way to do it is to make art more accessible. So with enough preamble, let's go ahead and get into this 24-day art supply calendar. It seems to be a box this year rather than the fold-out book style. There is a list on the back of the box of everything that's in here. I am not gonna take a look at that until, you know, we've actually taken a look at what's in the box. I don't wanna spoil it. So if you are giving this as a gift and you don't wanna spoil the advent calendar aspect of it, you're gonna wanna go ahead and unwrap it and remove that. Now, I believe I ordered this either through the Arteza site or through Amazon. I know that Arteza said at NAMTA that they're looking to move away from shipping from their own site and more working through with Michaels and with Amazon and that sort of thing. So I don't quite remember. And I don't remember what I paid, but I will pull it up for you guys. It's been a while. And honestly, what's the point of me memorizing things like prices when I can just pull them up for you guys and show you? Now, this did come packaged in like a box, which has since been discarded. So it didn't come, you know, in this box itself. That would have gotten all wrapped up. And speaking of gift guides, I'm actually working on a handmade art supply watercolor artist gift guide for this year. I'm still waiting on several packages to come in. Most of it was either ordered directly through the Arteza Shop or via Etsy. So I'm really excited about that. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't necessarily had a chance to try out yet, but there's also going to be a lot of stuff that I've talked about here on the channel in the past that I really like. So if you want to give the gift of handmade and support a small business this year, which I know I'm reviewing the Arteza Advent Calendar for you guys today, but I strongly encourage shopping handmade, giving handmade, especially for gifts. Please do consider subscribing and keeping an eye out for that gift guide. That one is taking a lot of work and it's actually fairly expensive, believe it or not. Probably more like believe it than not. So I hope you guys will check that one out. So it comes in a sturdy cardboard box. This is going to be a reusable box. I like that. It is branded with Arteza and the name of the artist, which would be Ryan Murphy. His signature is even harder to read than my own. There is also a card here, and we are going to move to the desktop later on with everything so you can see everything close up, but I wanted to give you guys the Advent Calendar experience first. And the card reads, 6 complete projects, Arteza Fine Art Advent Calendar featuring Ryan Murphy. Welcome to the Arteza Fine Art Advent Calendar featuring artist Ryan Murphy. Ooh, repetitive. Embark on a project-based creative journey where you will open 24 days of our favorite Arteza products. Have fun creating in Ryan's signature style and explore his unique and modern illustrative techniques. The start of each new product will be accompanied by a creative kickoff card intended to guide and inspire your creation for the days to follow. Want to do your own thing instead? No problem. Use the supplies to create your own personal masterpiece. We cannot wait to see what you create. And then they have a QR code for Ryan's link tree, which I will bring up over here, as well as this card kind of showcasing a side-by-side of his more realistic art and then his cartoony art. Oh, okay. So we have boxes this year and we have trays. So this already feels like a more premium experience than their past Arteza advent calendars. The box is nicer, it's reusable, the trays are nice, it smells nice. I would not be surprised if there were wood cookies in here. Everything currently is reusable, so I like that. So, spoilers from here on out. I'm going to be opening these. I'm going to be opening all of these. Do I plan on doing the projects along with it? Not this year. I've done that in the past. I don't intend to do that this year. We're trying to keep things kind of snappy. And I want to just kind of focus more on what is included, the value of what is included, the price value, but also like the tutorials, and do they seem like they're easy to follow, easy to understand. As an art supply reviewer, what I like to see in these kinds of like project plus art supply kits is instructions on how to use the things, an explanation of what the things are for people who might be new to this. I don't want everything to be internet based. I like to see things printed out because increasingly a lot of families don't want their children to have unlimited internet access. I do not blame them, one iota. And so having things printed out means that this is a project that can go to, they can bring one of these to grandma's house or do this with grandma if they want to. They can bring it maybe if they have like an open art class where they're allowed to work on these kind of projects, they could bring it there. They're not tied to the internet and they're not tied to doing it just at home. So I want to see that kind of flexibility, especially for these kind of holiday things. Now, that said, this was not marketed at children. So I'm going to be looking at this from the lens of teenager, older teenager, young 20s, maybe even somebody my age. And to be fair, I am on the road all the time. I am gone a lot. So I'm still going to be judging at the portability of this. And I do still want to see printed instructions for this because I don't want to be on the internet all the time. I don't want to be looking at a screen all the time. Having printed instructions that I can mark up and highlight is easier for me. And it means I don't have to print them. And that's an added value for me. And I know I'm harping on that. Some people might feel excessively, but I have a lot of neurodivergent viewers who have commented that they prefer printed instructions. They find that most beneficial. I fall into that camp as well. So that's something that I'm looking for and will be commenting on. So we're just going to kind of tear through each day. The cardboard boxes themselves, actually a much lighter cardboard. Very easy. I could honestly just like, oh, some of these are double stacked because there's a number 5 under here. Okay, all right. So I'm just kind of like gonna blast through all of these. So day 1, actually we get a good amount on day 1. On day 1, we have a paintbrush. We have a card that describes the project, and this is for days 1 through 4, and I'll read that in a moment. We have a wood cookie ornament. We have a tube of acrylic paint in candy button green, and we have a do not eat pack. I'll toss that to the side. So for days 1 through 4, the project is iconic ornaments. Get excited. You're about to make some of Ryan's signature wood slice ornaments. Start by painting your base, and over the next few days, uncover additional supplies to add shimmer and detail. Last step, hang them on your tree and enjoy. So I guess we're gonna use this tiny brush to apply this paint as a base coat on this wood cookie. This is not the brush I would choose for like this is gonna take a while, and it's gonna look streaky, and it's gonna have weird buildup, and maybe that's the point. It would have been nice if they had included, the instructions were rather vague. There isn't even a link or a QR code to demonstrate what they want you to do. And this box might be given to somebody who's looking to get into art. So without any kind of instructions, we're not off to a great start. I'm gonna put day 1 things back in day 1 box. And we're gonna go on into day 2, which is part of, the days 1 through 4 iconic ornaments. Also, it would have been nice if they had included a like a printout, a photo, a postcard, or whatever of the ornaments we're going to be working towards. Right now, it's just kind of a blind box thing. So on day 2, we received no instructions, which is fine. Okay. Actually, that's not fine because I thought we were building up this iconic ornament. We received a plastic 6 palette. These are fairly inexpensive, and another tube of acrylic paint in cranberry red. Now, I don't expect every day to have like a lot of supplies, but I do expect every day, if we're working on a project each day, to include more information about that project, another step for that project, maybe a video for that project, some inspiration for that project. We are on to day 3. There's actually some glitter on the outside of the package, and I'm wondering if there's glitter on the inside. All of these have been taped shut. Oh, it's I'm not even gonna pull this out. It is a small, like, zipper bag of glitter, and it's already getting glitter all over me. And still, no instructions on how to use that. Are we gonna get to day 4? This is day 4, by the way, and all of our instructions on how to do our iconic ornaments is gonna be in there. I feel like Arteza is doing this a little bit differently, but it's still the same problem I've had with them in the past. So it's kind of disappointing that I put faith that they had actually done what they said they were going to do. But better me than you guys. Like, my thing is, I review art supplies on the internet, so you don't have to waste money. You can spend your money on art supplies that you genuinely love. Okay, so in day 4, we received 2 acrylic markers. One of them looks like a clear marker, titanium white, and it's already leaked. You can't really see that. We will go to the table and look at that in a moment. And then we also received a black marker in space black. And I think I've gotten these colors every year that I've done. In fact, I've gotten acrylic paints and these markers every year I've done the Arteza Art Calendar, and that was one of my complaints, is that it's the same kind of supplies. So if you liked the first advent calendar and you're like, oh, you know, I want to do more of their advent calendars, this was fun for me. It's repetitive. It's the same thing every year. I know they sell pastels and color pencils and drawing supplies and watercolor, so I was really hoping to see, honestly, coming from a cartoonist and an illustrator, more drawing supplies. So it's disappointing that we're still doing the wood cookies and the acrylics. If it's your first year to Arteza advent calendars, you might really enjoy it, but I would say there doesn't seem to be repeat value year to year. Now, there are several of these calendars. I just bought the one that I felt would be most aligned to my personal interests. I was trying to be generous, and maybe I just picked the wrong one. Okay, so this is day 6. No, I lied, day 5. It was one of the under ones. So these are double stacked, and the packaging is really flimsy. Okay, so on day 5, we received, this is something different from past years, a sheet of acrylic. Kind of liking where I think this is going. This might be something I use regardless of whether or not I like, you know, the theme of this box, or if I really want to emulate Ryan's art. We received 2 more acrylic, oil-based paint markers. That's a new product from them for me. This is a Mars Black, sorry. And this is an alcohol-based ink. It's a chrome marker. That's kind of neat. These are going to be fun. I'm going to like swatch a lot of this for you guys, even though I don't intend to do the projects along with them. And it's just chroming. Okay. All right. This is days 5 through 8, reverse painting technique. Now, we didn't get any actual instructions for days 1 through 4. We didn't get a link, unless that's the Linktree link, which I haven't explored yet. Maybe it will be. So I'm not really sure what we're doing, or how we're doing it, or how we're using these supplies, or how the oil-based pen is supposed to be used, or the chrome pen is supposed to be used. So, and this is somebody who works with art supplies on the internet and teaches art supplies as a living. If I don't know how to use these things, I'm sure a lot of people who are going to be getting this box aren't going to know how to use these things. So Arteza, this is an area we talked about in the past. I'd love to see you fix this. So, second project, reverse painting technique. Let's have fun with a technique that is a little less traditional. Flip your acrylic panel over to the back. They don't say which side is the back. We will create our layers in the order of foreground, middle ground, and background. Each layer will be covered by the next. Opposite of what you're used to, right? Since we're working backwards, start with your outlines first, then fill in with the middle ground. Okay, they didn't provide a line art, they didn't provide a link. Okay. Last, complete your background, fully covering over the last layer you just made. Looks crazy, right? Flip it over to see how amazing this turned out. Remove film from both sides of acrylic panel before starting your masterpiece. I feel like I'm going to repeat myself a lot, so I will just say this one more time, and then if they prove me wrong, I'll correct myself. Arteza, this is not I was expecting, especially for the size of the box, a printed postcard, 4 or 5 photos, step by step, showing and explaining what you're talking about. Since we're working with Ryan's art, I thought we were going to be, or inspired by Ryan's art, I thought we were going to get maybe links to video tutorials from him, or like samples of his art on the other side of the postcard that you can maybe trace and use as inspiration. Because if you're new to a technique, sometimes it can be hard to know what to do. And sometimes it's just easier to follow along with somebody else's art, especially because they said we were going to be inspired by or working in his signature style. And honestly, other than the exterior of the box, there is nothing about this in his signature style. We haven't gotten anything with his work on it. We haven't even really gotten anything that explains who he is and how he's artistic famous. Is he internet famous? Is he Instagram famous? Yeah, come on, this is supposed to be a collaboration. I do this series called the Easily Influenced series, where I buy art supplies and art books touted by or made by or sold by influential internet artists. And most of them do a way better job of connecting the artist with the art supplies than what I'm seeing here. So now on to day 6. I'm complaining a lot because I really thought Arteza had changed, and I was like excited to see how they were going to work more closely with the artist and showcase more of the artist's art and really give the artist a chance to show their techniques and what makes their work special. And we just get more of the same. All right, so this is day 6, and we received a tube of acrylic paint in the color Blue Ribbon. So the acrylic reverse painting is supposed to be days 5 through 8, I believe. So I wonder if we're just going to receive like 1 piece of art supply per day. I kind of also feel like they're already counting on you to have a bunch of art supplies for these projects already, so you can kind of get started from the jump. And I'm going to I think art supply advent calendars in theory could be a wonderful way to get somebody who wants to get into art and make sure that they have the supplies they need and the inspiration they need to do it. Honestly, the Alkali Creek advent calendar spoiled me. I felt like that was a really good jump into watercolor. Maybe not jump into watercolor. You probably should know a little bit more about watercolor, but I think it would be a great gift for an intermediate painter. Okay, this is day 7, and we received 2 brushes. The quality of these brushes is kind of jank. We received a size 6 flat and a size 0 liner. And I'm assuming they're just mixed media brushes. So one of the things that makes getting prices for the Arteza advent calendars, ooh, I can't put those caps back on, challenging is that Arteza will source, these are not from their sets, these are not from their normal product line. Arteza is a white label art supply company. So these could be something that they sourced just for the advent calendar, and that makes it hard to get a fair, by Arteza standards, price for these things. And you know, I don't necessarily think it's fair to go on AliExpress, look at 100 lot of brushes, divide that up to get the price. Like, I understand we are paying like a markup, we're not just paying wholesale on this. So day 8. All of the boxes are actually a lot larger than what you're getting. You think you're gonna get a lot until you get into like day 8, and then you're like, okay, it's gonna be a tube of acrylic paint, huh? All right, so this is another tube of acrylic paint in First Frost White. And another thing is, you're not going to find these particular, you're going to find their acrylic paints. You're not going to find these sizes or these colors because this is something they specifically white label to go in the box. So it makes it, like I said, challenging to get fair prices. I'll do my best. Here is day 9. Oh, hey, we got, okay, something different. Oh, all right, day 9, a little something different. We received an Arteza alcohol marker in Lollipop Pink. This is one of their bullet tip and one of their chisel tip markers. They do have brush tip markers. I've talked about their brush tip markers. We also received one of their Iconic ink liners. Oh, this is a brush pen. This is in Chimney Brown. I've also reviewed several of their art kits here on the channel. If you guys are curious about their art kits, just check the description. Just check the description. Okay, so for days 9 through 12. Oh, okay. Oh dear. Sorry. I realize what we're doing. This is called Winning Hand. Inspired by the unique surfaces Ryan uses in his art. How? I don't know who Ryan is. Y'all haven't given me like a pamphlet about him. I thought that was what I was gonna get, was a pamphlet about his art, like a little art book. Y'all didn't do that. I do not know what surfaces he uses. I don't know what materials he uses. Y'all have not introduced me to Ryan. And if somebody's giving this as a gift, they may not know, the giver may not know who this person is and the receiver may not know. Y'all are doing Ryan a little dirty by not introducing his work. Anyway, inspired by the unique surfaces Ryan uses in his art, we are too. Coloring doodle to your Christmas heart's desire on these Arteza playing cards. Uncover colors over the next few days to finish your winning hand. And I wouldn't call, these are, I'm so sorry if I'm pedantic. These aren't playing cards. These are just like printed cardstock cards with, I mean, I wouldn't call this a unique surface. And this one is damaged from the toner transferring on. You guys will see at the table, but I promise you this is not what art supplies this is not, you know, what art supplies is all about. You can work on less expensive materials 100%, but this is having Dollar Tree vibes for me, and that might be a little unfair, but I review Dollar Tree stuff. Okay, so day 10. So those are supposed to be like days 9 through 12, the playing cards. They're not even full-size playing cards. They could have literally just like bought a few packs of playing cards and split them up and taught us how to gesso on top of the playing cards to create like a white surface, and then had us use like a multi-liner style pigment ink pen and a few alcohol markers on top of it to create art. But no, they went a different direction with that. Okay, oh, okay, all right, another alcohol marker, this one in Snowstorm Blue. I have a feeling days 10 through 12 are all gonna be alcohol markers. So at least we moved away from just acrylic tube paints and we've moved into something a little bit different. Now, I cannot claim that Arteza is just liquidating stuff that didn't sell, which would, you know, I know some advent calendars do that, because these are all branded uniquely Christmas names, like Sleigh Red. So we just got another Inconic pen, another brush pen. So we received a pink alcohol marker, a turquoise blue, a red. Not that that's an alcohol marker, that's an Inconic pen. Now, is this an alcohol marker? Sounds like a pen to me. You know, they could do more than one pen per day. These pins are not that expensive. They don't sell them individually, so we're gonna have to, unfortunately, look at the set and then break it down for kind of like an estimated value of an individual pen. But they're not that expensive. Oh, Arteza, y'all got me. Y'all got me, and you're not getting me again. Y'all got me. I fell for it. All right, so day 12 is another Inconic pen. Like, they could have done 3 Inconic pens in one day, and that would have felt like more of an appropriate value. And also, you'd have gotten more art supplies for your buck, and you could have done more with them. This is Pine Needle Green, and it is a brush tip. These are fiber tip brush tips. They do tend to get mushy. They don't have the resilience of, say, a foam rubber. And that is everything for the first layer. Okay, it's not in the same order, but I did get it all to fit. And you gotta be really careful with these ribbon ties. There we go. Nice thing about this though is you can store your art supplies in this after you have unboxed everything, and I do appreciate that. Sorry. All right, on to layer 2. This layer does feel heavier. We were on day 12, so now we're on day 13. Okay, all right, finally, something kind of interesting. We received a laser cut, give me a sec. Okay, so this might be a stencil, but it's like a laser cut thing. It's about the same size as this, probably wood canvas. It's wood. I think it's meant to be used as a canvas. Days 13 through 16, Mixed Styles Quadrant. Pop, abstract, realistic, or illustrative. Why choose just one? Grab your stencil and use it to divide your wood panel into 4 equal quadrants. Oh, this is like a high school art project. Next, decide on the image you want. Draw it large enough on your board to cover each space. Now use your supplies to draw and paint the image using a different artistic style for each section. Don't forget to pull out some of the goodies from the other projects to because this day did not receive any supplies other than this, to supplement your piece. Again, same complaint. And this is for days 13 through 16. I would call this like an introduction to the project, not an explanation or a demonstration of the project. Day 14 feels a little bit heavier. Oh, love. You know what? This is a little pen knife. Oh. You may want to pre-slice these if you're giving it to a child because the tape is hard to remove. Oh, hey, we got a twofer. All right, two tubes of acrylic paint in pajama blue and luminary yellow. So we're back on our acrylic paint thing. I wouldn't even say I don't like acrylic paint at this point. I actually do like doing acrylic painting things. Like I've done ornaments and I've done boots. I've done a bunch with acrylic markers. All right, for day 15, we received another acrylic marker with a plastic nib in true red. Okay, so we are now on day 16, which is a little bit hidden, but that's all right. I need to not talk while I'm unslicing. Okay, no, I like acrylics. I just don't love like tube acrylics, and I feel like Arteza has leaned on acrylic projects a lot for their advent calendars. So I don't feel like this really goes into like, and maybe I'm being unfair because we do need to go check out Ryan's work. But I feel like as like a fellow comic artist, cartoonist, illustrator-y person, I do feel like there's so much you could cover. And I feel like in the past, Arteza has already leaned really acrylic heavy. It'd be really exciting. In fact, that's one of the reasons I picked this guy is I thought we were gonna get like drawing supplies and rulers and inking tools and just like a different variety of things. All right, so we have another acrylic marker, this time in fluorescent pink. And they're mostly, I don't think of their acrylic markers, we've only received their really small ones. And I know they have a larger type as well. I don't mind because I currently have a lot of acrylic markers and they're all the big ones. So having some smaller ones is helpful, but like in terms of covering an area, these markers are not, you know, gonna make that easy. Okay, so we are on day 17. Oh, we got more stuff this time. Okay. Okay, so for this day, we received a wooden block with a slit in it. We received 2 tubes of watercolor paint. Wow, I was just complaining about that. In candy pink and enchanting purple, we received a do not eat packet. And we received some cardstock where, oh, it's like, okay, I'm looking at the wrong side of it. It's like coloring sheets. Oh, they're very cute. His art's really cute. I'll give him that. Okay. All right, though. As a watercolor artist, I have some caveats. This is tiny. This is going to be hard to paint. This is going to be hard to just do, okay? Like, it's for people with fine motor skills, it's going to be a struggle. Also, this paper is not a good paper for watercolor. So, while I love seeing something different, and I think this is to display it, we're already setting people up to fail with the wrong paper, and the print is tiny. It's going to be really hard to control watercolor on this paper. All right, so days 17 through 20 is doodle display. Showcase your creativity with a fun doodle display. Create a watercolor explosion as your base and enjoy additional mediums in the next few boxes. Okay, maybe we're just supposed to do wet into wet, like just like as a background fill for this, they don't explain that. That's me as a watercolor artist being like, maybe that's what they mean. You can have fun pulling back out your markers and pens from previous projects to add new dimension and detail. I feel like Ryan, the artist, didn't write these cards. I feel like a writer looked at the materials and came up with these cards because there's no real instructions. It's kind of just like sell talk or fluff talk or like copy talk where you're selling the project to people rather than like explaining how to do the project to people. I really would have loved if they'd included like a pigment liner, and this is the first time we've gotten to see his art in this box, so I like that. But like they could have done 2 with his art and 3 blank, right? And included a pigment liner, and that would have been just like a way to personalize it without it costing a bunch of extra money. Okay, we are on day 18 now. Oh, this is a very big box, right? I thought we were getting a brush for 2 more of the pigment things, the iconic ones. Oh, are these double-sided? These are double, I'm so sorry. These are double-sided. So you do get like a fine tip, but these are a water-based ink. So you couldn't necessarily, you could, but it would bleed and you might want that technique. But if you want like a solid line art to paint on, these ain't it, friend. Because they're water soluble. I talked about them a few years ago, unless they've reformulated, in which case we'll find out together. And then the other side is that brush tip. And this is in Festive Green and Star Bright Gold, which is more like a yellow ochre because this is not a metallic. In this big box, I thought we were gonna get brushes to go with our watercolor. Because to be fair, they have sent mixed media brushes, which are bad at both watercolor and at acrylic. There are some mixed media brushes that are fine, but I've used theirs in the past and they're not. All right, this is day 19. It really should be a brush, right? Because it is a long, skinny. What are you? What are you? Oh, it's a gel pen. Their gel pens are atrocious. I've gotten them in years past and I hate their gel pens. And that's all we got for day 19 is a gel pen worse than the kind you can get at Dollar Tree. Oh man, Arteza, are you like trying to compete with Sephora? All right, day 20. Who wants to bet? It's another gel pen. I'm grousing, but I'm also kind of having fun with this. But I'll be real, if as an adult I received this box, I would love the person who bought it for me because clearly they were trying and they were thinking about me and they knew what I liked and like they put a lot of thought into it, and I would have been disappointed in the box itself. We get another single iconic pen, this time in Snowflake Teal. Y'all being cheap, Arteza, because I know what this, well, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know what I paid in years past for this box. All right, next up is day 22. Wait, no, day 21 is underneath all of these days, so. All right, there we go. We can now see the bottom of the box. Oh, a canvas. Okay, actually, I made that sound like I was disappointed, but at least it's something different from their advent calendar. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. We have a canvas. We have 1 tube of paint sealed in. It's in Figgy Pudding Brown in acrylic. Oh, this has a texture. That's actually kind of neat. It's a brick texture, but that's actually kind of neat. You can't see it. We'll see it at the desktop. This is a mini mural. It's time to make a mini mural. Recreate your favorite city walk or design something brand new on the textured brick canvas. Prep your brick base. How do you want us to prep our brick base? Then try your hand. Do we just paint them brown? Then try your hand at creating street-inspired art. Don't forget about all the paints and markers you got in your earlier projects. Keep this mini mural on display all year long. I do actually kind of like the concept. It is different, and I have been whining about wanting something different, so, you know, that is true. But, well, let's see. We are on day 22 now. I'm trying so hard not to stab myself again. In day 22, we received an Arteza acrylic marker in gold. So another comment I have. He has kind of a distinctive color palette, and I do feel like they tried to match his color palette while also doing a lot of Christmas stuff, which definitely is a challenge if you are not into his particular color vibe and you're not into Christmas colors. That said, this is an advent calendar, but I know people who, okay, so advent calendars kind of sort of started out with Catholic people and like the Advent season, but when I grew up Presbyterian, we also did advent calendars, so it's definitely not just a Catholic people thing. And it might not even, in fact, my family is Catholic now, so I've grown up with both. It might not even be a Christian thing anymore either, which I'm fine with. So on that note, doing just Christmas colors does kind of limit the like giftability, like as a Hanukkah present or any other winter gift-giving occasion present. And like, I'm not into Christmas. I love green and I like red, but I hate them together. So maybe it's fine. Maybe it doesn't matter. All right, so next is Spearmint Green, and it is an acrylic marker. I guess I'm just saying if they had gone with a variant of his color scheme, like he seems to like teal, and he's got a lot of purple and a lot of pink. Like if they had done a play on his color scheme with Christmas or winter iconography, it would have had broader appeal. I don't know. And then finally, we have day 24. This is coming from a woman who has mushrooms and snail ornaments for her Christmas tree. You know, like maybe I'm not the one to have an opinion. All right, so finally, we have acrylic varnish in glossy with no we have gone through 24 days. We have received no booklet of his art, talking about him as an artist, talking about his process as an artist, talking about what inspires him as an artist, nothing like that. We didn't receive any postcards or printed examples of his art other than the exterior of the box and those few doodle cards. We do have a QR code on the intro postcard that links to his link tree, but kind of blurry photo of him on the front. We don't know who this guy is, or why he's famous. Okay, all right, I found a little bit more on the back, because I didn't check the back because it spoils it, and I don't think the information about him should have been on the same thing that spoils the box. So I'm gonna read the contents of this box first for you guys before we go to the tabletop, and then I'm gonna read about him, and then we will look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Where you guys can actually see it, and then we'll look at him online. Okay, so we're gonna actually kind of make this an easily influenced. So in all 24 days of our calendar, we received one wood slice. It says 1x1. Okay, all right, so you have your number in front, and then you have the description. So I am going to read it as it is written, even though it contradicts itself, and we can talk about that if you want. Okay, so 1x piece wood slices, plural, 4 inches in diameter, 7x piece acrylic paint, total 5.18 fluid ounces, 3x paint brushes, 1x mini paint palette, 1x mica powder, 6 pieces of acrylic markers, 1 piece clear acrylic panel in 5x7, 1 chrome marker, 1 piece oil-based marker, 4 piece playing cards, 2 inch by 3.5 inch, 2 piece Everblend markers, 6 piece dual tip Iconic markers, 1 piece wood cradle board 5 inch by 5 inch, 1 piece wood stencil 5 inch by 5 inch, 1 piece card display block base, 6 piece pre-printed doodle cards 4 inch by 4 inch, 2 piece watercolor paint 0.4 fluid ounces, 1 piece white gel pen, 1 piece stretched, and the word stretched is misspelled, but I mean that happens, canvas 8 inches by 10 inches, 1 piece glossy varnish, 1 piece twine. The twine was attached to the ornament, so I don't know why they're counting that, 1 welcome card, and 6 creative kickoff cards. All right, so as for Ryan Murray, His signature is so hard for me to read. I am so sorry. And on Instagram, he is at RM_dsings15. I'm Ryan Murray, the owner of RM Designs 15 LLC. I hold a degree in graphic design from Sanford Brown College. Specializing in photorealism and pop art, I employ vibrant solid hues complemented by striking black lines in my creations. My primary objective is to deliver superior quality artwork and content tailored to my discerning audience. And then we have a picture of him with a Christmas tree and some art supplies. And we have our cancer and reproductive harm warning. And this was designed in the US and manufactured in China. So let us head on over to the desktop. It's everyone's favorite game, the game where I try to cram a giant object on my honestly kind of small art desk. But I wanted you guys to actually be able to see this up close and just kind of get a feel for it. So this is the wrapper that was on the outside of the box. This was the card that is on the inside of the box, and there is the QR code for his link tree, which, don't worry, we are going to be checking him out online, and I've probably already included a scroll of this earlier. And then this is the box. I couldn't get everything back in. As you guys can see, it is a sturdy cardboard, and like I said, I couldn't get everything back in. I tried. So I'm going to try to show you guys things up close in order, because in general most of these things are kind of repeats from years past. I don't actually think I'm going to swatch them for you guys. Also, this video is getting kind of long. Day one is our brush, our wood slice, our acrylic paint, and our instructions. And literally this is it. This is the instructions you get. This is the amount of instructions. This is the amount of examples. This is what you get. Now, considering that this is a $79 calendar, I feel like it's honestly pretty light. Day two, one tube of acrylic paint and one of these things. Day three. What is your opinion on advent calendars? Do you think they should be a deal, or do you think it should be like the cost of its parts and not a deal? So this is that glitter powder. They didn't give us any instructions on what to do with this or how to use it. And this is honestly like 25 cents worth of glitter, if that. Day four. I'm of the opinion that, especially from an art supply company where it is all their branded stuff, it should be definitely a deal. You should be getting a lot more stuff than this. 2 Arteza acrylic markers. This one has already had an accident. Day 6. And I mean, these cardboard boxes that it came in are so malleable and cheap that I cut myself while slicing one open, because it deformed and my hand slipped, and I also wasn't paying full attention, but that is, I think, something worth noticing. Okay, day 6 is another single tube of their acrylic paint. Day 7 is 2 of their watercolor brushes, so we will have a total of 3 watercolor brushes, and none of them are, I'm sorry, mixed media brushes. None of them are particularly large, so not necessarily good for coverage. They're also fairly cheap, and I'm noticing this ferrule is trying to come loose from the brush already, so it's probably not going to hold up. And I've used their brushes in years past and really did not like them. Day 8, another tube of their acrylic paint. So you notice most of these days we're just getting one thing. On day, I actually skipped some. That is okay because I didn't put this in any particular order. Day 5, we actually get a little bit more stuff. We receive a sheet of acrylic, and it has a film on it. I may play with that later. We received an oil-based paint marker, and we received a chrome marker, and we received a new project, but no instructions, no photos, no demonstrations for this. I feel like a printed out booklet with all of it at the bottom at least would have been helpful. Day 6, we received, they call these playing cards, but they're just on cardstock, and the toner has already started to transfer and smudge the cards. And the pitch for this was like, it's a new surface, but it's just paper. It's not even playing cards. We received an alcohol marker. They claim this is one of their Everblend markers. It doesn't really look like their Everblend markers. This is the same marker body that like Shuttle Art and Ohuhu and those kind of brands use. So this is a really inexpensive marker to white label. We also received our first of our Inconic brushes, or Inconic inking utensils. These are water-based, I believe. So if you try to do watercolor on top of them, they will run, but you can actually do alcohol marker on top of them and that won't be a problem. It has a fine point and a brush point. And there is the instructions. Day 10, we receive yet another single alcohol marker. Day 11, I mean, I think they could have doubled up, right? We could have gotten 2 alcohol markers per day. We receive another single Inconic inking utensil, inking pen. Like, it's just sparse. Like, a lot of these are really inexpensive for them to include and produce, and yet they're divvying them out 1 per day when it should have been, honestly, 4 per day of the Inconics and 2 acrylic alcohol markers per day, in my opinion. Another Arteza Inconic. This one's in a green. I also made a comment, and we can actually look at this. So this is the first 12 days of stuff. We have technically 3 types of painting surface, though I find the cardstock faux playing cards hard to count as a painting surface. 1 wood cookie, 1 acrylic blank. We received 3 brushes. We received 4 tubes of acrylic paint in the same colors that they love to use for their for past years calendars. We received 1 mixing palette. We received 2 acrylic markers, 1 chrome marker, which is alcohol based, 1 oil based marker. We received 3 Inconic pens. So not a whole lot for, and also what, 3 projects. So this is the first 12 days. I will commend them that while there's a lot of cardboard waste, there isn't a lot of plastic waste this year. And then here are days 13 through 24. Okay, so starting with day 13, here is a new project. This is the project. Again, no photos, no examples, no real explanation. We have a laser cut stencil, which is going to be used to divide up this wood blank. And there isn't even like a center hole to like help you
Sorry, I know you probably lay it on, make your marks, and then use a ruler, but they don't even explain how they want you to go about using that. So that's just my best guess. They could have just included a ruler. Here is day 14. We actually get 2 tubes of acrylic paint this time, which is what I think should be the standard. Here is day 15, another single acrylic marker. Again, this is one I think they should be doubling or trebling up on, because I have priced these calendars in the past. I know that these are not actually that expensive products. Another acrylic marker, and you guys will notice it is an advent calendar, I'll give you that, but the colors are very Christmas. And if you've done their advent calendars in the past, there's a lot of repeat colors. So it's not even like you can build on what you started the year prior. It's a lot of the same kind of stuff. Day 17. So we have a new project now. This one I'm on the fence about. Okay, I kind of like the idea, don't like the execution. This is what they call a doodle display. So they gave us a cut piece of wood. They gave us, this is the first time other than with the intro postcard that we really get to see his work. Even on the backs of these, which they could like have a photo of what you're doing, they choose not to use that. So these were printed out. These are meant to be watercolored. This is not watercolor paper. I can't even, it's kind of just a cardstock, and they don't really provide good instructions for this project. What I think they probably want you to do is do a wet, like 2-color bloom. Don't bother painting fine details, and then in the subsequent days, or use what you got to add details, or use what we got from past days to add details, but they don't really do a good job of explaining it, and the back is blank. So it's meant to slot in like that. I mean, kind of underwhelming, but all right. They didn't include any blank ones. They didn't include any better paper for that, so it's kind of disappointing. Then, ooh, this one just, okay, 19. I'm not trying to do these in order. We get some longer boxes, so I thought, oh, we're going to get some more brushes. Wait till you see. Nope. 2 of the Inconic, which we should have been getting, you know, multiple days we should have been getting 2. This time in Festive Green and Star Bright Gold. Day 19, we get a single gel pen in what they call Frosting White. Day 20, another of their Inconics in Snowflake Teal. And we're going to talk about prices. So in years past, I've done the tour where we like go on their website and we find everything, and I did this as a live stream. You know, not doing it like that this year, and that's fine. What I'm going to do instead is grab prices and grab links for you guys. So if you are curious about how I come up with these numbers, you can check it yourself. Another of their acrylic markers, this time in gold. Their acrylic markers, the fine tip ones are kind of they sputter a lot. They catch on wood a lot. So you'll get like sprays all over the place. Day 21 is our largest item. It's also another project. Let me make sure I got everything. Yeah. Okay. So it is a canvas. You can actually see the texture. It's got like an embossed texture that looks like a brick wall. I kind of like the concept for this. It comes with 1 tube of acrylic paint in figgy pudding brown. This is a mini mural. But again, no photos, no instructions, no inspiration. I feel like there are young artists who would just do their own thing, right? And not let this stop them. They're going to do what they want anyway, and that is phenomenal. Good for them. I love them. Also, though, there's artists who are going to look at this and they're going to want to do the thing and not know how to do the thing, and it's going to cause a lot of anxiety, and they're going to be really afraid of messing up, and they're just never going to get started. So I am a little annoyed because I feel for those kids. I was somewhere in between. It really kind of depended on where my ADHD was that week. All right, we received another single Arteza acrylic marker on day 23, this time in spearmint green. And then finally on day 24, we have some acrylic varnish. And it doesn't really, even other than shake well before use, it doesn't really come with any instructions. So we received a canvas with one acrylic paint for days 13 through 24. We received a wood canvas with a wood stencil. We received a bottle of acrylic varnish. We received 3 more Inconic pens. We received 4 more acrylic markers. We received 2 more tubes of acrylic paint. We received 2 tubes of watercolor paint. We received 1 gel pen. We received these line arts printed on cardstock. Sorry, my brain had a brain fart. We received this base for that. And we received 3 more project cards. So in all 24 days of the Arteza Advent Calendar for 2024, 24 days, we have 6 total projects. So that's a project every 4 days with no photos, no real instructions, no step-by-step, no breakdown if you're new to the medium or to the material, no explanation whatsoever. We received 7 tubes of acrylic paint. We received 2 alcohol markers. We received 6 acrylic markers. We received 6 Inconic dual tip brush pens with a fine and with a brush. We received a chrome marker and an oil-based marker. We received 2 tubes of watercolor paint. We received where's that acrylic thing? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 painting services of various quality. We received 1 gel pen and we received a bottle of acrylic varnish. Now, before I figure out a total, I want to ask you guys to comment below. Do you feel like this was worth $79.99? Do you feel like this is a good use of that money? Do you feel like you would get repeated use and enjoyment out of these art supplies? Do you feel like you got an equivalent amount of inspiration? And that can be different answers for different people. There isn't a right or wrong answer. When it comes to art supplies and what you like, it's gonna be an individual thing. And I really recommend going out and trying a bunch of art supplies, whether you're taking classes at your local library or you're going to your local art store and asking if there's anything that you can kind of explore or sample with before you commit to buying it. I recommend, if you have friends who have art supplies, going over and like playing around with what they've got and figuring out what tools you like and which ones you don't, because only you can decide for yourself what works for you. I am just sharing my opinions and my expertise, but that does not make your taste or your opinions wrong or invalid. What works for you is what works for you. So I'm not going to take you item by item, but this is the Arteza Shop. I actually bought mine from the Amazon listing instead because Arteza doesn't necessarily sell everything through their site anymore, which is going to make it kind of hard to price stuff, and which is kind of why I wanted to show you guys. So I'm going to try to find an alcohol marker that looks just like the alcohol markers that they included. Here's the acrylic markers. Okay, so they were claiming they sent Everblend markers, but there's a bunch of different styles. So this doesn't actually look like what they sent. That's a triangular body. Same goes for these. These are also not what they sent. In fact, I'm just not seeing what they sent. I'm seeing like brush tip markers with the gray triangular body, and then I'm seeing the triangular white tip markers, but it's not exact. And I know that opens me up to like criticism that it's a bad faith comparison. But my point is that they are sourcing different supplies for the advent calendar than what is necessarily on their website, and it can make it kind of challenging. Another thought would be, well, they're not selling these open stock, right? The closest you can come is the refills. So do I price it at the cost of the refills, which are like for a pack of 4, $2.99, which is actually, you know, pretty cheap? Or do I, you know, find the biggest pack they have, since they would be buying these markers in bulk, and then break that price down in order to get my price? And also keep in mind, they're doing a Black Friday sale on here, so everything's 50% off, and I don't know if that's reflected in the price that we see, or if that would be reflected in the price at checkout. So I'm just pointing this out to you guys to give you guys an idea of like how tentative some of these prices are, how big a grain of salt you should take with these prices. So with a little help from Joseph, I crunched the numbers, and you guys can check my math. I'll have it in the description if you guys are curious with what values I got and how I rationalized it. But this is an approximate $79.31 value. And keep in mind that on Amazon, it's going for $79.99. So even with some very generous estimations, I still don't really think that this advent calendar is worth. Now, to be fair, Becca, you didn't factor in the cost of the boxes. You didn't factor in the cost of the bigger boxes, which are nice and fairly sturdy. And yeah, that is true. But you know, I'm one of those people who thinks an advent calendar, when you're buying from a major business, should be a deal. Whereas an advent calendar, when you're buying from like a small business or a maker, that's a little bit more negotiable. Now, if they had included the step-by-steps, the tutorials, that sort of thing, I'd feel very differently about the value of this box, but they did not. Speaking of, it is now time for us to check out Ryan Murray. So I am unfamiliar with this guy as an artist. They kind of pointed us towards Instagram first, but it looks like he does have a personal website as well as a YouTube and a TikTok and a Facebook. So, you know, he's kind of all over the internet. So we're going to start with Instagram. And see, these are actually really charming. These wood slice ornaments, like, these are really cute. Why did they not give us any like photos of this, anything to like give us an idea of the kind of work he does or to get us hype? Why did they not include any tutorials or step-by-step or process from him? I mean, to be fair, right now I'm just seeing a lot of fan art, but it's still really cute. And then it looks like this might be more of his original art. Give me a second. Wow, he has a lot of followers. He did dollar art, I guess, before. I always thought defacing a dollar was like a punishable. Well, that was what I was told growing up. So maybe that's not the case. I can see why, though. He does a lot of fan art, and fan art is one of those things that like really resonates with people. They don't have to be familiar with you or with your art to like fall in love with it. So that kind of makes some sense. He also has like the Bitmoji art style going on for his art. It would be, I'd like to see what his personal style is. That's a little bit harder to see, but it seems like he does a lot of acrylic stuff. Art on things like dollars, like game controllers, like wood slices, like a gaming chair. This is definitely a vibe. I can appreciate it. It's not necessarily my vibe. I see here like the side-by-sides where it's like cartoony versus realistic. And then maybe the 4 different style thing. I just really feel like Arteza, and it looks kind of like he's an Arteza partner. I really kind of feel like they did him dirty with not having more of like his step-by-step process or him sharing his insight on how he does these. Like, I don't know if he's using acrylic markers for these or acrylic paints or what, and it would have just been interesting to see that process. But I can definitely see why his work is so popular. It's a lot of popular franchises. It's a lot of licensed stuff that I'm not sure if he's paying for the license for. In fact, most artists don't. But like familiar stuff that people know what they're looking at and that they can resonate with immediately. But I'm also not really seeing a whole lot that feels like maybe this still looks like that Bitmoji stuff. The stuff that people use as their Facebook avatars. Okay, so that is his Instagram. Let's check out his website. Oh, okay. That's kind of cool. Okay, so he does customize controllers, and the prices are actually very inexpensive considering. Calls them art drops when he updates his shop. I know that's a thing. I know people do it. For original art, are we going to see more of his flavor? It kind of looks like it. And I assume he did the art on the box, but then there's also some fan art. So it's really kind of hard to like get a vibe for who he is as an artist. And the box refers to him as a fine artist and illustrator. And, you know, as a comic artist, I heard a lot of pushback against comics and illustration as not being real fine art. And a lot of people do think of fine art as like a very specific thing, like gallery art or art that holds a specific store of value. I'm not really one of those people, but I don't know, man. I don't want to gatekeep. Oh, hey, this is the art from the card he did for the Arteza box. Okay, so another thing I'm noticing, and I can see, I'm going to dive in a little bit more since that's what we do in the Easily Influenced. And this guy is clearly an influencer. He's got a buku followers on Instagram, but like all of these are sold out. Like he leaves up all of his stuff that is sold out. So you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling forever. And I understand that creates like the illusion of demand. I mean, those could be things that sold out 5 years ago. There's no real actual indication of like how immediate the demand is. It also seems like for his more realistic stuff, if he is using acrylics, it's in a more painterly style. And then for his more cartoony stuff, it's very like cell shaded flat. Cartoony, maybe like more acrylic markers. This actually kind of looks like color pencils to me. And we don't really have the context to know what he's using to create these things because he's not providing that context. And Arteza also chose not to provide that context. So if you like his art and you're a fan of his art and you were hoping that this advent calendar would help you learn some of the tricks of his trade and learn some new skills, no, that box is not it. Not really it. Not going to do that for you, which is a shame because if you're a fan of his work and you want to support him and his art, I feel like that collaboration should have been a better fit. So he also has a bunch of subscribers over on YouTube. It'll be interesting to see. Okay, so I'm getting like kind of Mr. Beast vibes from him and how he presents himself, which is honestly kind of like what I got from the box too. And that's just, you know, a different vibe and kind of a different way of handling things. I mean, I'll be really honest with you guys. I'm not really sure like what to say. This is not really like, I love cartoony art, okay? Y'all know that, especially if you like are familiar with my work. So I am of multiple minds about this and I want to be very careful about what I say and how I say it. So I spent many years working as an anime con artist, an anime convention artist. I had tables in the artist alley. I am very familiar with that world and the world of fan art and the world of selling fan art prints. I am very familiar with what can happen if you tread the line a little too much and you get sent a cease and desist, what can happen when Disney comes after you. So like the path that I decided to take after working as a convention artist is basically the exact opposite direction that this gentleman took. I wanted almost everything I did at that point to be original characters and original concepts. And it's harder to build an audience when you're selling something that people are not yet familiar with. And I understand that. I see this as like two paths diverge in the woods. We also have like very different personalities. I want to be your comics big sister, or at this point, I guess your comics auntie. I love being able to show what I know and share those skills and teach people new things. And I'm not necessarily looking to impress people with like the finished art. I'm looking to like hopefully inspire you guys to make art a part of your daily life. So like we have very different vibes. We have very different end goals. And like at heart, I'm always happy to see another artist succeed. I'm always happy to see another artist make a living from their work, because, you know, even if what you're doing is all fan art, it is still work, it is still labor, it is still time consuming. He also appeals to a very different audience than I do. It seems to skew younger and maybe more masculine than my audience. So we just have like different vibes in general. I do wish, for the purposes of like what we're talking about today, that there had been like actually tutorials, actual demonstrations, an actual look at how he does the things he does, the things that have made him famous, because I feel like that box should have given us some of that insight, and it did not at all. So I was then hoping, well, maybe his Instagram has reels that do that kind of thing, or maybe his YouTube has a bunch of tutorials or anything like that, and really not so much. And that is also a choice. I think every artist has the right to choose not to share what they've learned if that's what they want. That's why there's a variety of artists, and that's why there's a variety of teachers, and why artists who choose not to teach should perhaps be willing to give a shout out and a leg up to the artists who choose to, especially if you guys get tired of fielding questions. Like, you can always throw somebody else's name out there. So this was interesting for me. Just completely different vibes. Like, this is somebody who I think our paths would never crossed and would never have crossed. And now I had the opportunity to check out somebody who has just a very different way of doing their art business than I do, at a completely different level, at a completely different scale. So with a different demographic than I actually have. So that's basically, you know, what I could say about this. And I think now we are ready to wrap things up.
So honestly, this will be my final year of doing Arteza Advent calendars. We talked to them at NAMTA. They said things were different. They are different, but not in the way I wanted to see, and not in a way that I can really recommend this box to you guys. I was hoping for more printed instructions. I was hoping for more photo examples. I was hoping to see Ryan's version of all of these products or all of these projects, and to feel inspired by it. Whether you are giving this to a precocious 10-year-old who loves art, and they are already taking some art classes and they've already got some art skills, and you just want to encourage that, or you're giving this to a teenager or a young adult, I feel like it falls flat in inspiring, and it misses the mark in terms of instruction. And when it comes to art supply advent calendars, well, I don't think every art supply advent calendar has to do that. That is something that you guys have said that you want to see. You want to see projects, you want to see tutorials, you want to see inspiration, and I 100% agree with you guys. And I think including that is such a value add. It takes like a box where mostly I'm just going to be talking about the cost of its parts, and it adds a priceless element to it that makes it kind of a one-of-a-kind gift and a unique experience. And I find that this box has really failed in that. And I haven't like reviewed every art supply advent calendar ever, right? Like Grabby has one, and a couple of y'all sent it to me like, hey, are you gonna review this? And I knew from looking at it that it was gonna make me mad, and I'm trying not to be that person as much anymore. Sometimes I fail, but I'm trying. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna spend money on that. It's gonna upset me. But usually what I've noticed about advent calendars that I really like, and only one has hit this mark for me, is that really strong connection between the supplies, and I'm willing to waver on the quality of the supplies if the instruction is really solid. Because I think these can be a wonderful way to invest in someone's artistic interest, to support and encourage someone's artistic interest, to share that interest with someone in your life who's just getting into art. That's what I personally like to see with art advent calendars. If I just wanted a blind bag of supplies with no instruction and no inspiration, lots of companies do just that. Or I could just hit up the Black Friday sales on Blick and Jerry's and just buy like whatever, not literally whatever, but buy stuff that strikes my fancy. Now, I realize this kind of creates a vacuum, because I'm telling you guys, I personally don't recommend this advent calendar, and I know some of you guys are watching this hoping that you would find something that would be a good gift for an artist in your life. And this is not, I don't recommend this personally. So that leaves a vacuum for precocious, intelligent, art-motivated tween to young 20-something, a market or a vacuum in the market for advent calendars for them. And right now, I don't personally know of any direction I can point you in. I do actually have an advent calendar, a handmade art supply advent calendar coming in for my gift guide. So maybe that will be the direction that I point you guys in. But I haven't found anything that fills that vacuum yet. So I really want to encourage art influencers. If you have an audience in that age range and it's a big enough audience to support such an endeavor and you have the spoons to it, maybe consider doing a tween age to young 20-something. I know that's a big gap, but there are some skills and interests that align in that gap. Maybe consider doing an advent calendar for that age group. Arteza, maybe consider including an introductory pamphlet and instructions and photos and like actually showing people how to do these projects so that they can do them with confidence. Maybe consider upping your game, but you're not going to be getting money from me in the future. But this leaves a power vacuum for companies like Faber-Castell has a children's line. That could be an excellent direction for them to consider. Blick has their own white label line. They could do an advent calendar, or even some of these smaller companies like St. Louis Art Supply for making in San Francisco. Maybe some of these smaller companies could lean in that direction as well. So it's food for thought, but unfortunately I can't recommend. Just me and knowing what I know and reviewing what I review and having reviewed this calendar in years past, I personally cannot recommend it because it doesn't have the instruction and it hasn't worked closely enough with the artist being featured for me to want to be able to recommend it. I feel like they're still missing that gap. You might have seen this video and you might feel completely different than I do. You might like what you see. You might think it's a great fit for someone in your life, and that's totally fine and valid. We can disagree on things. I'm just trying to provide the information that you need to make an informed decision about products like this. It is fine if you loved it. You can let me know in the comments that you loved it and you're super excited about it. It's also fine if you agree with me, as long as we're being respectful to one another. All opinions regarding this are totally valid. So I hope this was helpful, useful, and informative for you guys today. I hope to see you guys again really soon. Please, 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 please stick around for my handmade, homemade, hand-drawn, still workshopping that title, gift guide. That is going to be coming when I get everything in, basically, and have a chance to record it. So I hope you guys will be looking forward to that. I'm really excited about it. I'm really looking forward to showcasing some small businesses and some small artists who could really use your support this holiday season. So I hope you guys will check that out. If you are looking for something cozy, relaxing, and fun to read, I hope you guys will check out my webcomic, 7-Inch Kara, at 7inchkara.com. And if you're still doing some holiday shopping and you would like to support what I do, it would really mean a lot to me if you moseyed on over to the Natto shop at nattosoup.com/shop and checked out the hand-drawn and handmade goodness that I have over there. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I am wishing you the happiest and the merriest of holiday seasons this year. Bye, guys!